Joining me now is writer and broadcaster Esther Krakue. Esther, Harry's visa issue continues. What's the latest?
Yes, so we know that the Heritage Foundation has put in a request to actually have the documents regarding his visa, his American visa, revealed to the public because he revealed in his book Spare that he had taken drugs, he'd taken cocaine and magic mushrooms. And when you apply for a visa in the US, you actually have to disclose any drug use, previous and current. We know that there have been British celebrities that have actually not been allowed to enter the US for those types of reasons, like Nigella Lawson. So, the Heritage Foundation, which is a right-wing think tank, only thinks that it makes sense to have those documents revealed to the public to see if there was any bias when Prince Harry was applying for his visa. Now, of course, the White House has been fighting back against this, arguing that it would be prejudicial to reveal that, and he would receive a lot of negative stigma. But the reality is they're doing this for diplomatic reasons. It would not look good for the Americans to effectively exile the son of the king of one of their closest allies, and that's the reason why they're doing this. Now, people would have said, why did Prince Harry choose to reveal this detail? I think it's because he didn't actually think of the repercussions when he was writing Spare. It was all about him sort of vomiting his feelings and saying everything that he felt. But he didn't think of the wider implications of revealing his Taliban kill count, for example, and potentially making him and his family a target, or revealing the fact that he did take drugs. I don't think he knew the American immigration system so well that he thought it was better to reveal that information. Now, you could argue that it was either ignorance or naivety, or just the fact that he thought he would get away with it. But the reality is, this is not something that's going away. Much to, I suppose, the Biden administration's chagrin. They don't want to reveal that information because it would be a diplomatic nightmare if there were any negative repercussions. If you turn this into a political matter, you will effectively alienate one of your allies, which I don't think the Americans can afford to do. Now, Donald Trump, who we know is running again for a second term in the White House, has been very vocal about his stance on the Sussexes in particular. He's not a fan of Meghan, as he's made very clear. And it looks like his administration, should he come back to the White House, will not be very favorable, will not look favorably on Prince Harry. So this is actually a problem that's not going to go away. And, it begs the question, why did he say this? Why did he do this to himself? And it could also potentially mean that he loses his mansion in Montecito. If his visa is revoked, he'll have no choice but to return to the UK, where he and his wife don't have an official residence anymore. So what will happen there? They don't have automatic rights to armed security, which is a case that he's still arguing with the Home Office over in the courts. So it could actually turn very nasty. But I think at the moment they're hoping that the judge will choose to side with the White House and not reveal the documents in his visa application.
And as an ancillary point, what are the implications if Harry is able to or does take US citizenship?
Well, the question is whether he'll even be granted citizenship. So it's not the issue of his drug taking that's the big offense. It's actually about lying. So a lot of any sort of American visa or sort of green card applications or citizenship applications are done on the goodwill of the state. So they're assuming that the applicant is being truthful. If they find that the applicant has withheld information or has purposely lied, which would be revealed if Prince Harry didn't actually state his current or past drug use, then that's grounds to actually refuse his citizenship, which then begs the question, will that kind of sort of snowball into refusing his green card and his actual residency to remain in the US? We don't know what American officials would think about that, what the immigration officials would think. We don't know whether they'll think it's a grave enough offense to actually refuse him grounds to be in the US at all. Which would, of course, have a huge knock-on effect with his life with Meghan and his children. It might have to be a situation where he just commutes back and forth to see his kids from the UK, or he'd have to move his family back to the UK, or he'd have to find somewhere else. The bigger problem then there is, if anyone who's familiar with visa applications, if you've been refused a visa application for any reason from countries like the US, where like sort of Western countries are quite aligned, it's actually harder to get applications or visa approvals for other countries. So, for example, if I, as a British citizen, have been refused a US visa on the grounds of lying or drug use or anything like that, it makes it that much harder for me to get a visa to Canada, for example, or to France or to Australia or to anywhere else where the couple could potentially move. So there are actually quite wide-reaching implications, other than the fact that his citizenship and maybe by extension his residency in the US could be refused.